Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters, and welcome to a little bit of a different kind of review. We're talking It's Me, Billy, Chapter 2. Now, I'm going to be completely honest here and say that I knew this film was coming out. I knew that it was at some point down the road going to be releasing on YouTube for Dave McRae fans, everybody who has kind of been following his channel and what was going on. But I was quite surprised when I got word that it was coming out literally Terrifier 3 weekend. And, I feel like there's a little bit of synergy in that. I think with them both being Christmas horror films, you kind of see a little bit of that intentionality. But I also was a little worried that, hey, maybe this will get overshadowed. But, short films, the internet, it's a different animal than it is going to the box office and landing in theaters. The other piece to this was that I had been talking to Luke about It's Me, Billy, I think for a few years now. I know with December to Dismember, we have been talking about covering the Black Christmas films because we love the original quite a bit. So it's one of those things where it was like, when are we going to sit down and do that? And when we do that, we got to check these things out, or at least you need to get caught up on them, because I think at least the first one is a pretty solid flick. But Luke, now that you've kind of been exposed, you've dove in on the deep end, you've checked out It's Me, Billy, at least the first one and 2, what are your thoughts on these pair of short films?
I always get excited when we see these, fan films, I guess, just because you get a very personal take on what a big fan of the franchise would do. We have some Friday the 13th stuff, we have some Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. We haven't really gotten a lot of Black Christmas stuff. Yes, we've had the remakes and things like that, which we'll dive into those at some point. But in terms of like this property, it's a little more dormant than I would say than the bigger properties. And Black Christmas is such an iconic horror film for it to just kind of be sitting there. So looking into these, I know you'd always spoke very highly of It's Me, Billy, and I just never gotten around to checking that one out, crossing it off my list, just because we had so many other things going on. So, as soon as you brought this one up, I was like, I'll put it on my list. Certainly, we'll do a double feature. We'll watch both these. Going into the first one, I'll say they really do encapsulate the tone of, I think, Black Christmas and what it should be. But, it kind of leaves you off on a cliffhanger. So they're kind of more so laying the groundwork, getting you familiar. So when I watched that one, I'll say as a standalone, there wasn't a ton there. Just kind of as more of a minimal take in terms of, kind of getting your feet wet, I guess you would say. But diving into It's Me, Billy, Chapter 2, this one had me on the edge of my seat. I think this one really knocked it out of the park for me. I was really excited for this one. I understand it's a fan film, and we'll always go back to those run times. I just wanted a little bit more, just because I enjoyed my time here. So I think, the arc's great, everything. We'll dive deeper into it. But my overall opinion, I really enjoyed Chapter 2.
Yeah, I mean, I was a fan of the first one. Again, we talked just briefly before we hit record here, and it was a lot of, I think, the anticipation and the support of, Dave McRae and being a fan of his channel, and, obviously Bruce Dale, his partner, they kind of have that same working relationship that you and I have, where it's like, Bruce may not be on the channel as often, but, he's definitely their partners in crime. They love this franchise, and seeing them bring that to fruition was excellent. And yeah, it's, on the whole, when you kind of reflect on it just as Chapter 1 alone, it's one of those things where it's like, this does feel very safe, very much in the tone, very much in the wheelhouse of Black Christmas, which I think at the time that was coming out, we needed that. We needed something that was going to kind of bring us back to the roots of it, because after 2019's, which I still have yet to see, I'm holding off until we actually sit down to review it for the channel. And it's just one of those things where it's like, I thought that was an excellent return to form. So my anticipation for It's Me, Billy, although big with everything going on, like I said, it just kind of fell under the radar. So this was a nice treat. And yeah, I really felt like Bruce and Dave just stepped on the gas with this one and really brought you home strong with this two-part fan film. I think that this was definitely more their vision. You could hear a lot more of their voice coming through this. And I think all in all, the thing that's impressive about this is the quality. I mean, there are some elements to this that just make you feel like, man, this is very good. Like, this is very big budget in a lot of ways. You can get that sense that there is that kind of cinema like quality too, especially chapter 2.
Absolutely cinematic. And when I said it was more of a minimalist take on it of that first film, I'll say more so narratively. I'll say both these films back to back have great cinematography, a great feel to it. It does feel like you're watching a very professional film. I think maybe that's why I forgot. And when I was watching this, I wanted more from that first film. Is they're so well done for to be a fan film that they just have such a high production quality there, and it just feels like you're watching something that you would go to the theater to see. And I absolutely love that because you get so enthralled with the take and what's going on there. And that second chapter there, I'll say there's just they make use. It's holiday horror. They make use of the Christmas lighting. There's a couple beautiful shots in there. There's one where there is some red lighting coming from the stairs, and it's
Yeah.
kind of got this blue silhouette. Just absolutely gorgeous. There's so many great shots like that, and the camera work in here. There is just so many shots that my big focal point of the chapter 2 here is the tension that they did bring. And you can feel that through the camera lens. They really do that so well, and they are able to sustain it throughout. And that's what had me so excited about this one is that cat and mouse game that they decided to go with here. And that's really what I wanted from these films is just that kind of that high tension, that great camera work, just that holiday feel to it. And when you're doing this at night, my gosh, it's a hard task to do a smaller film and get those night shots like that. But the way they did it and were able to achieve it, it's just gorgeous.
100%. And us being people who worked on short films for a fraction of the budget of what this has, that's one of those things you think would be one of the easier tasks is just kind of figuring out lighting. But lighting is such a chore. There's a reason why you have full departments on films working on it and full like departments that work with cinematographers who work with the people who operate cameras and everything. Just it's all one big cohesive system. And I feel like they absolutely nailed it here because, yeah, the film looks cinematic, but you're right. The lighting here was exceptional in so many shots. You could see they were really, I feel like, where the first film is them trying to capture the tones and the essence of Black Christmas. This one, you could really feel their own distinct flavors starting to come through, where it's like it does have those similar vibes and similar tones. And just, I think the way that they shoot very much feels in line with like a late 70s, early 80s horror slasher film. They really do bring a lot of that grain and a lot of those things to it. And it is impressive to see. It is impressive to see on a smaller budget like this, because it just shows that with enough dedication, with enough people who are experts of their craft, you don't need millions of dollars to make something that looks as good as something that you would see on the big screen. And I easily think that these could play up on the big screen. I think that for what they are, and they're about, what are they, 40 minutes a piece, I think they are.
This one's about 46, 47. I think It's Me Billy runs maybe about 44, 45. I think. So they're
I
kind
think
of in the
so.
same vicinity, but I think you put it together, you get an actual feature length
Yeah,
film, which I
you
feel
get
like
just
what they were
about
going for.
90 minutes there. So it's like, yeah, it's nice. And I think that you could slam these two together and just have yourself a nice
It's a
Black
great double
Christmas
feature.
film.
I
It
can.
is. And I think the best part about this, and Luke, you could probably say best, is just like you kind of can accept these as being another follow-up to Black Christmas, an actual definitive follow-up, like a legacy sequel done with a little bit more care and a little bit more just actual thought put into them, rather than just what we've seen with some of these more recent legacy sequels. I know you were joking around with me on text where it's like, man, this just motivates you to want to do something in the My Bloody Valentine universe, because like Black Christmas, that is another one of those horror slasher gems that it has a remake from the mid 2000s, but I think could easily just open that world up. And I think that what Dave McRae and Bruce Dale brought here is just a very excellent climax to what like I said here is a full blown Black Christmas sequel.
Certainly, certainly. And as you're talking about, My Bloody Valentine and everything, where you look at these films that are so iconic that have just a wide range of, you can really expand that lore, tell different stories. And I think Black Christmas is absolutely prime for that. Obviously, as we're seeing here with It's Me, Billy, where, you don't have too many things attached to it where Michael Myers is killing his family or he's part of a cult, and you kind of double down on certain things. That the idea of Black Christmas is such a broad story. You can really take it in different avenues. And I like the idea, the creative stamp that they did put on It's Me, Billy, where expanding that story, having some reoccurring characters, some familiar characters that we've seen or at least connected to a family lineage there. I think I really enjoyed that idea of really looking at that basic film and then trying to expand upon it, and not in a way where we take it down to just an odd avenue that just doesn't really fit. I think, like you said, where if you watch that first film and you go and you watch It's Me, Billy, there is a happy marriage there where it doesn't feel jarring. It doesn't feel too different than the original. They encapsulate that tone, that tension that they do have, and they really do put a lot of gravitas to the actual film itself. We talked about, we covered a bunch of the Terrifier stuff where we had talked about Terrifier 2 kind of amplifying Terrifier because of what we got in that second half. And I think It's Me, Billy Chapter 2 certainly amplifies that first film because of the payoff that we get in the second film here. So, going back, as this was my first watch on both of these and being able to watch them one day apart and, being so refreshed with that idea, I really do want to go back and watch that first film, first fan-made film, just so I can really more so enjoy that, because now I know where it's going to go. So I can really just kind of live in that space and go that route with it. So, I think this fan-made films, my gosh, you feel the love. They tug at your heartstrings. You know the issues that you go through as a small filmmaker, and to produce a product like this, my gosh, this is something I'm easily going to watch every December now. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad I'm able to check out off in my list here during Splatathon.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is again a total surprise. Just to throw some love out to the cast too, because fan films, it's usually revolving around a smaller cast, and I feel like this one they really
They
brought some great.
expanded you could have kept it just more condensed, like inside the house. They decided to go outside, which really surprised me. I didn't really
Yeah,
expect an expansion like that to, it's not like we spend a ton of time out, but the cast that they choose to, add in and really try to tell a different kind of story really intrigued me. I was not expecting that when we went into this.
yeah, and I think that the big piece to this, I haven't seen anybody else's reviews for this as of yet, but I plan to go through and watch it because I see a few horror friends and family are out here dropping their reviews. I know Cody said that he was going to put one up after we spoke some spoilers on Terrifier 3, and I think that one of the big pieces that I'm curious to see if anybody touches on is the recasting, because I don't know if you're aware of kind of what happened there, Luke, but so I think it's Lisa Kovacs or Lisa Kovac. She plays Jess, who is returning character from the original Jess Bradford, and originally they had the original actress attached to this film. So like we were going into It's Me, Billy Chapter 1 or Chapter 2 with everything lined up for it to be like having that connective tissue, a lot like how the Never Hike Alone films were able to bring back why am I forgetting his name? I feel like a fool. Chapter 6, Tommy Jarvis.
Oh my gosh. Our boy, and I'm forgetting his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. People are going to yell at us here.
I know they're going to be like, "What are you doing, you fake fans?"
We don't
Point
even
being,
like
they
Friday
were
13th is what they're going to get at. Tom Matthews.
Tom Matthews. There
I had to
we
look it
go.
up, guys. I'm not even
Yes.
pretending like I figured it out. I had to look it up.
Yes, but they were bringing back Olivia Hussey. I at least was trying to get to that point with it, but I tripped myself up with Tom Matthews. Olivia Hussey from the original 1974 film, and unfortunately, due to I believe it was some health issues and some things, she had to drop out of the project. So people were like, "Oh my god!" And I remember people having like, Dave and Bruce coming out making statements saying, "We understand if you guys want to pull funding from the film and you want to, this isn't what you were promised," and everything. And it was a really hard hurdle to jump over. They quickly got it recast, but it was something that I was curious to see if anybody's going to pick up on it, because I'm not going to lie to you. I really thought that Lisa here, she did a great job as Jess. It feels natural. Yes, it's not the same actress, but I think it might also just come into the way that they bring her into the story. It's a very natural fit, and it does feel like the best attention to a legacy sequel character that we've seen in a long time.
Absolutely, and I think having any returning cast for a fan made film sequel is just kind of a bonus. You don't need that. No one's really expecting it. So if you're able to acquire some sort of original casting, hey, by all means, we all love familiar faces. It tugs at our heartstrings because we have a love for the original or whatever sequel they're being pulled from. But I don't think that is something that is a prerequisite in order to actually make a fan made film. So I mean, kudos. Obviously, like we said, there's a creative stamp here. There's a love for this franchise, clearly, to try and even make an attempt to bring back any sort of original casting. And I didn't know that because, again, this is my first time really watching this. I never really kept these on my radar at all. But every time a fan made film comes up, it definitely has my intrigue. But, that's just bonus points for me, where it's like, clearly, they want to have such a well told story. This isn't some sort of random cash grab to be like, we'll throw Billy in here, with their Black Christmas in here just to get eyes on a fan made film. This is something where, students of the game, they really did their groundwork. They really wanted to try to make something great for fans of Black Christmas. And regardless of not having any returning cast, anything like that, whatever, doesn't matter to me. It's a great story in the realm of Black Christmas. And of course, hey, as Dylan said, we've gotten other properties. They haven't necessarily been home runs. So this, for me, is going to be a Black Christmas, and then It's Me, Billy. That's my universe right now.
100%, man. Yeah, I'd love to see it. I mean, you always hope with the guys over at Never Hike Alone, Womp Stomp, and everybody says to throw Friday the 13th to them. They've been doing really great work on there. There's a part of me that would say I would hope that they get to do this, but I've heard that they want to, looking at their Twitter and just going into some of their lives and everything, they do want to, expand upon doing other films, maybe stepping into some feature work here. I don't know if that means It's Me, Billy, or a Black Christmas sequel officially. But I think that what we have here is definitely more than we could have asked for from a team who is just doing this for pure passion and for the fans, and it absolutely aces it. So we don't really assign grades to short films on this, but I mean, for God's sakes, as big of Black Christmas fans as we are, and as big as fans of just like, people who are getting it done, going out there and making something, this gets the prerequisite of just, it's a must see. Check this out. It costs you nothing. I have links to both films in the description for you, so you can watch them. Like Luke said, excellent double feature. And yeah, go show some support, show some love. Let them know that Splattercast sent you. And maybe, just maybe this Christmas, maybe we can get Bruce Dale and Dave McRae on the channel to chat a little bit about the making of this film, because I have a lot of questions. I would love to hear about some of those days on set.
Certainly, I'd love to pick their brains and just understand what they went through, because we know, hey, making a 10-minute short is long days of really just trying to get the right shot and get that story told. So, yeah, like Dylan said, we don't really assign gradings here because this is just a bonus. We weren't expecting it. So, but going through here, knowing this small budget, knowing the story, the finished product that we got here, this is an easy must see. For anyone who wants to make films, anyone loves Black Christmas or just loves horror, like Dylan said, this is on YouTube. It doesn't take much to click on it. Go search for it, check it out, click on the link below, and just enjoy. Go into the world of Black Christmas. Even if you're not familiar with the original, go in here, check this one out, and then maybe you'll go check out the original, which, of course, we highly recommend the original. So go check that one out. But you can get through these two, even though there is some connective tissue, but you can enjoy the ride and then go back. So even if you haven't seen the original, easily check out part 1 and part 2 of It's Me, Billy.
Absolutely. But alrighty, guys, it's going to wrap us up here for our review of It's Me, Billy, Chapter 2, and a little discussion on 1. Like we said, we got some plans for December to dismember this year too. I think we're going to do it. I think we're actually going to go through the Black Christmas films and and give them all a little bit of a once over. And yes, we will revisit these then. Maybe we can do more of an extensive kind of dive. Like I said, if we could get Dave and Bruce on board for some kind of a discussion, that would be epic. Maybe even do like a commentary with them on one of these would be awesome. I'd love that. It's absolutely all on the table, I hope. So you guys make it possible. Reach out to them for us on our behalf. Say, hey, what's up? And we'll follow up accordingly. But yeah, that's going to wrap us up here. I hope you guys have enjoyed your weekend of holiday horror. We certainly have. And looking forward to what's coming in the future. So until next time, I'm Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.
Do the horror shit, gonna do it live. Cause Splattercast kick it every day they live. Splattercast, gonna slash your ass. 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 Splattercast, gonna slash your ass.